Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Campus Care Ed Talks. I, Mehek Dhiman, your host for the day, would like to welcome you all. Ed Talks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. Our topic for the day is how to encourage questioning in the classrooms and to express her viewpoints on the same. We have with us Mrs. Bindu Gupta, ma'am, Principal of Sahaj International School, Ghaziabad. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Hello everyone. Hello Mehak. Thank you for calling me.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out your precious time for us.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, let's start off with the session, ma'am, shall we?
Yeah, sure. But before we start, I would like to thank NTAP team for choosing such a topic, which is very most important in the field of education, and giving me the chance to share my ideas and my views on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, ma'am.
Same here. Same here.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, firstly, when we talk about questioning in the classroom, how important is it? The importance of questions, for students learning. How important is it for a student to ask question in the classrooms?
See, for a student, asking question is very important because it is the ability to ask question is one of the most important lifelong learning skill a student can acquire in the course of their education. Moreover, when we talk about education goes at two levels. First is imparting knowledge, which is where the teacher plays the great role. She is in the lead, and this next level comes attainment of knowledge. And when we say attainment of knowledge, now here comes the role of a student. And when we say role of a student, it means asking questions and be active in the class. And the child can be active if he is listening to it. At times it happens they are listening but they are not, and the teachers must encourage that stimulates learning and develops a potential of students to think and drive to clear ideas. And another important aspect of the importance of question is that they break the monotony in the class. Like the student, they become active. Before that, they are the passive listeners. And when they ask the questions, they become the active participants in the class. And when they ask the questions, the teacher must recognize their questions. Because, in true sense, the student who is asking the question is the one who is learning. So, according to me, asking the questions must be recognized and valued by the teachers.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very beautifully answered. So, ma'am, sometimes this happens, the students are generally afraid to ask the questions in the classrooms. So, how to make, the classroom a safer place for them so they feel safe to, ask any kind of question that comes into their mind.
So, see, one of the most important aspect is to provide conducive learning and provide a comfortable area, a comfortable zone. A teacher and a student must have that comfort zone between each other so that the child never feels awkward or embarrassed or he hesitate. So that feeling of hesitant, so it's the teacher's responsibility, and that can be done only if the teacher provides that comfort level, that opening. The child must share what he feels, why he, I mean, where he is stuck up. Rather, he's wasting time or he's waiting for the time to come. The teachers must promote the student that pick it up that very moment. Do not wait for some form of osmosis. Otherwise, also, that fear among the children that if I'll ask the question, maybe I'm wrong or maybe teacher will judge me. So my request to the teacher is create that comfort zone. Do not judge the student because they are after all learners. So while learning is the process, at times they will be wrong also. So encourage them to ask a question. Start with asking simple questions with the students and then land up in the main part of learning. Smile often. Give them chance to ask a question and chance to solve the problems at their own end also. Laugh with them, create that positive vibes in the class. So all these things will help the teachers in maintaining conducive learning environment and being open with the students.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much. Moving forward, ma'am, how to make, the teaching or the lesson more interesting so that, students are encouraged to ask more questions in the classroom, and they really get interested and they really, ask a lot of questions.
See, the first of all, it depends upon the teacher, how you take your subject and how much interested you are. And if your methodology is interesting, so automatically questions will pour up. As I said earlier, if you are providing that comfort zone with the students. So the teachers must encourage the students to ask a question, make them feel comfortable, welcome them. And as I mentioned earlier, also, don't judge them,
Yeah.
because the questions can be, it is not that the questions will be asked only from the ignited minds, as the class is divided into three groups. It's like average, below average, and above average. So at times below average might ask some, if maybe the teacher feels it's a silly question or it's not irrelevant question, but even then the teacher should not snub the child, and in a very polite way must make him feel okay, this is not the one which we were expected, but yes, you question, that is more important. Another thing, it's like two-way communication must go on. Gone are the days when the teacher, there was only one way of communication, that is in the class only teacher is speaking and students used to listen to their teacher silently, or you can say quietly. But nowadays it is two-way participation. Rather, it I would say it's the more extended form, that less of teachers they speak in the class and more of students. So the student speaker should be more rather than the teacher is explaining or saying more, because due to flip learning and all these MIL, so this helps the students to come up and hone their speaking skills. When they ask questions, we are rather creating the people, the students, critical thinkers. And when they'll speak up, so definitely they will think about it and they will land to something concrete also. And the student who is asking the question, at times it happens in the class of 30 to 35 students, there are maybe few more students who haven't understood, but they are not so confident, they are not comfortable asking the question. But maybe there is one savior who gets up and asks the question. So the teacher must validate that point, because he is the savior for rest of the students who maybe are not comfortable asking the question, but he is helping them out. So one, even if one child is asking the question, we must keep in mind that it's not only one child, there may be many other students who are not coming in the forefront. And the last thing I would like to say for this question is that avoid using the phrase, are there any questions? The teacher must say instead that, I know this topic is tough, but slowly and gradually you will get your answers to the queries. So we must ask that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Absolutely, you just mentioned that there are some times when students are filled with a lot of questions, but they do not have the confidence to stand up and ask. And so how do you think how can also there are some times when you are just uh, going through the chapter, you're just learning what is being taught in the classroom. So how to tap the curiosity, let's say, in students so that they can come up with a lot of questions about what is being taught at the classroom.
See, the first of all is teachers must inform the students about the latest, you can say, the teaching tools.
Yeah.
Like for example, Flipgrid. Flipgrid is one of the tool which helps the students. Like the students, they prepare their own answer, and they record those answers and then they post these answers. and the classmates can go through it, because when the student answer the questions, so they are in a very, you can say, in a simpler form. So this is one of the way where, as I said, there are silent listeners or who are unable to question. So this is also one of the way indirectly you can uh, tap them, or you can like you can just kindle them to ask the questions. So this is one of the, you can say, the soft way to make them, you're preparing them to ask questions also. Then again, place value on questions, although at times, I mean, teachers, they don't have time, but the students, they keep asking the question. So instead of snubbing them, I don't have time, so teachers must say, okay, I'm happy that you're showing interest in the chapter, or you have understood the chapter very well, and I noticed how deep you are studying. It's wonderful to hear you asking so many questions. So teachers in return must reply in this a way, instead of just saying, okay, the time is over. As I understand, there is time constraint, but even then, teachers, they must urge and they must encourage the student to ask questions. Maybe not now they are able to answer, but later on or in some other period or time, they can do so. Motivate the students to choose to learn. As I said, there are many students who do not choose they not to learn, and so they don't want to know anything. Rather, I would request teachers, you must ask your students, you must motivate them that please ask the question, and this is one of the way that you will learn it much better, and it will be easier for you to get the knowledge and the concepts being cleared, and rekindle the desire to burn and to learn, as learning is the ongoing process. See, the teachers can the learning can take place anywhere. It is not necessary to have it in the confined walls only. You can wherever you are with your students, maybe in the playground or in the, you can say, in the labs, take them to the lab. Start with those small, I said, as I said, small questions. What is this? How do we use it? Start with that. Give them that motivation. So that is one of the way that you can uh, ignite that curiosity among the students. It all depends on the teachers. As I said, if you make your teaching more interesting, or you are just a regular teacher, you just want to go in the class 40 minutes, teach them, and then come back. So it all depends on the teacher, because you are not a teacher, you are a facilitator. You have to facilitate the child whatever his queries are.
Yes, ma'am.
So nowadays, I mean, it's not the teacher, they are facilitators.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very well said, ma'am. Thank you so much. Lastly, ma'am, in your opinion, what is the importance, when the growing children or a growing student is asking questions? How important is it for ask them and not just simply why cannot they simply Google it?
No, no. See, as you said, growing children, they are young minds.
Yeah.
And the way you will, I mean, it's in the hands of the teacher to shape those young minds. It becomes altogether mandatory for the teachers to answer to their queries. As I said earlier, also, like this growing children, like for a foundational stage teacher, there must be innumerable questions which are, I mean, you can say baseless, or there's nothing to ask for it. But think in terms of the child. He's a growing child. There's a lot of curiosity in him. I mean, even he would like to know why it happened that sun shines in the morning only, or why moon is there at night only. What is the role of stars? It's, I mean, it can be anything. Even if he is having something, why we call it a pineapple only, or why pineapple is of this color. So obviously there are, I mean, there's no concrete answer, or at times, I mean, the teacher, maybe she falls short of answers. But again, as I said, you have to manage the situation and at least answer the child in the best possible way you can. And it's most of the time it's a cognitive questions at the student's end. And the very purpose of asking the question is interact. Many a time the child wants to interact. interact with the teacher in the school, maybe the mother or the elders at home or in the nearby areas. So asking question uh, should always be welcomed. So basically, growing children ask a question for three reasons. One, to get information about something. Second, to make contact for the sake of interaction, as I mentioned earlier, and to get necessary permission to act according to their needs and wishes. So these are three parameters, you can say, where the students or the young minds or the growing children, they ask questions, and we need to go by them, because eventually questions are extremely important for growing children. Even if your answers are not always on point, it will aid your child's learning to let them ask as many questions as possible, and ultimately they will be finding the answers themselves in the long run.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being here today. It was
I
wonderful,
hope I have come up to the expectations and my opinion. Yeah, see, these are my opinion
Yes, ma'am.
and my experiences. Out of my experience, I have shared these points.
Ma'am, it was very wonderful, listening to your experiences and viewpoints.
Thank you, Mehak.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for all the viewers watching us out, do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.